Open mic. Open mic.
Hey.
Yeah, fucking Illingsworth is dope. Anyways, welcome back. Secret House Against. Tokyo-based hip-hop art and culture conversations. You know me and Jet. Shout out to Noname Book Club. Join our Patreon as well. Shout out to Caltrops Press. Some of the best writing about independent underground hip-hop that you'll ever find. Today, Jed and I are going to be discussing the new Open Mike Eagle album, another triumph of Ghetto Engineering. It is 9 songs, 25 minutes long, and just came out, last Friday? August 25th. It's out on his label, Auto Reverse Records. And, this is just another album by the brilliant, uncanny, and idiosyncratic Open Mike Eagle. As you'll hear on the album, he's a long, relatively successful indie rap career, reaching heights that I thought might have been previously unattainable for the post-90s underground heads. Him and, say, El Producto have entered mass culture in interesting ways. The New Negroes comedy show on Comedy Central was a thing, and it's wild for me to think about Open Mike Eagle being right on there on Comedy Central, but his proximity to guys like Hannibal Buress and other greats, I just feel like, yeah, of course, He's done a lot of collabs with a lot of really dope artists, and yeah. So we have reviewed Open Mike Eagle on this show before. Last year we reviewed Component System with the Auto Reverse, which was his first album, like 2 years, something like that. Maybe.
I don't remember when Anime Trauma and Divorce came out, but that sounds about right.
Okay, so what we like to do is we like to talk about our general thoughts on Mike Eagle and also where we first were introduced to him. Do you remember where? I forget what we said last time, but I know I met him at South by Southwest, maybe 2009, 2010, and that's when I purchased. We had a conversation. We were kicking it at an Anticon showcase. I want to say it was like Sun Lux, and he was with No Can, and we were chatting up for a bit. And before he took off, he sold me Roadside Attraction, another Roadside Attraction, and I think the Art Rap album. But yeah, I've been a fan ever since. Been following his career somewhat closely. I didn't watch any of the New Negro show like that just because I don't have Comedy Central. We're out here in Tokyo, and I didn't really use the internet for it, which I probably should have. He was doing that with the comedian Baron Vaughn, who's dope as well. But yeah.
My Open Mike Eagle origin story is definitely less interesting. I don't know. I'm probably just an internet guy who heard dark comedy when that came out.
Okay. That one's a fucking jam. I think that one's like 10. Is it 10? No, it's like 9 years old now.
Gotta be, yeah. Coming up on a decade for sure.
Yeah, but a great project, and I highly recommend everybody go check that out. What do you want to get into the album right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
shit.
It's good.
If I could just say, the cover for the album is really great. I mean, his albums are generally pretty good. It's just like a probably black woman's hand with a variety of different ornamental things on her. Jewelry. Some real kind of like Afro-futurist type of jewelry work and long fingernails. And I think it works really well with the title because that is a modern, that is a triumph of ghetto engineering here. That is the type of creativity that comes when you're not shopping at fucking Saks Fifth Avenue or fucking Fashion Nova. But yeah, it looks really dope. And I think this album is to just get off a general thought on the album, I think this album's incredible. I loved his album last year. This album's great. It's shorter and feels more like an EP than a fully kind of developed album like I felt about Component System. Sure. I do really enjoy his calling back on this of the past, and a lot of the shout outs kind of evoke the idea of this ghetto engineering and all these day job cats like putting shit together, putting some dope art shit together in dope careers. It's on BET, he reminisces about the past. BET Rap City reminisces about the past quite a bit. There's also the one single that was released before that, WFLD 32, which is apparently, according to the cover of the single, it's like a Fox News channel of some sort.
Sure.
There's also callback to like The Wire season 3 episode 1 with Blue on it, and I think that there is generally a theme of kind of just kind of thinking back on what he's done and how he's been able to put this shit together with the scraps, like a lot of his contemporaries.
Yeah,
I
for
really enjoy
sure.
it for that.
It is a nostalgic record. It is one that looks backwards. I don't mean to say that in like a pejorative sense, but it is a backwards looking record. You know, whether that is looking back upon well, when we used to sleep on couches. I don't know. It was him and Rory, right? He's
Yeah.
talking about.
Shout out.
And I find it kind of interesting to think about in terms of, especially given Open Mike Eagle's place within this mainstream underground dichotomy. You know, obviously there's a track on there, We Should Have Made Other Ground a Thing, which makes a lot of sense to me because
I love
this
that,
is
actually.
other ground music. You know, when you look at the, you know, on the track, Dave says these are the liner notes where they just shout out
Yeah.
basically everyone
Yeah.
in that kind of circle of underground hip hop for 4 minutes. You hear names like Questlove and Thundercat, who are big star, Hannibal Buress, who are big stars, you know, who I think you could consider mainstream to an extent.
Yeah.
You know, people who have made large amounts of money from their music, but do still belong to that kind of
Yeah.
countercultural, weird, you know, alternative, otherground music.
Yeah. Mike has always kind of been a torchbearer for that community in that scene. Even the work that he was putting out in like the early 10s, he kind of understood his place in music and art and how that underground community was something special, but it was also too late to really lionize and think about the 4-element hip hop that you know, he and even myself had come up in the mid and late 90s. But those communities that were forged, like on that song, man, there's two songs. We should have made other ground a thing, and also the liner notes track.
Yeah.
And basically like 96% of the people he mentions on that I've been fans of them. Like you know, I know a lot of those guys, like cool with a lot of those guys. You know, there's people that a lot of cats who are fans of like Open Mike might not even know, like Cholo Lancinco. And you know, he's just, you look at the type of people that he's talking about. Like me and Getty bonded over MF Doom in 2000 when I was evicted from student housing. And that idea, I think, ripples throughout the album, especially in conjunction with the cover and the title. It's just like, man, he's had this kind of really long and storied career. And this one just kind of feels like a shout out to the homies and like getting people back together. I find the album to be incredible. And I was kind of thinking about Open Mike Eagle's place in hip hop, and not necessarily as like his successes and what he does or who he's worked with, but kind of just his style, the content, his lineage, and the approach. And is it just me, and maybe I'm just overthinking it because it's all pretty postmodern, but he feels like a very postmodern rapper amongst a lot of other rappers. And I know the
Yes.
term postmodern is kind of loaded because virtually everything is pretty postmodern these days, but even against his contemporaries like Rap Ferreira, like Rory, Woods, Getty, and to a lesser degree maybe even Quelle Chris, he's got like this approach that I think is tangentially related to comedy. And I don't mean that he's a funny rapper. I especially don't mean he's a funny guy like a Lil Dicky or fucking Don Glover. Like, I don't think it's like that, but there's like a relationship. I was like, where's the fucking beat? But there's like a relationship between the MC and like the comedian in a way, where like especially a lot of the more modern comedians, there's a lot of self-deprecation. It's observational. It's taking the world and having an incredulity towards meta narratives and a lot of the social kind of constructs that are being put on them. The comedians are often the ones that are like, hey, wait a second, doesn't that seem a little bit fucking weird to you? And I've always enjoyed how Mike possesses all of those similar traits to my favorite comedians. And not like he's funny, but he's also pretty fucking funny. He's like a very relatable, charismatic everyman, but he really has this kind of, it's a bit of like an absurdism, like when his art, it's like he'll hit you with something philosophical, something smart, but he also has like this magical realism about things and magical realism
Yes.
to construct his world where it's like some of the contradictions of like the inherent contradictions of rap are like, I'm real, I'm super real, but don't take me too serious. I am talking about killing people. I am talking about selling drugs to the community. With Mike, that thing is kind of absent from his work, where he's not professing that he's real or that he's dope or you know, the braggadocio works in different ways for him that I think is like, he'll say some shit like, yeah, I've got 100 cargo pockets. And it's like, yeah, he's fucking flossing and really barring on you cats. But it is just a very human and kind of different way to approach the rap persona, or like a like, you know, like with a comedian, you almost feel as though like this is their true self coming across. And I think that that's something that stands out with Open Mike Eagle in just a slightly different way. And I was thinking postmodern, but I'm not really sure if the connection is as pronounced as I'm just thinking of it. But the comedy,
For sure.
parallel.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he does do a very good job of skirting all of those lines, though, because, you know, you could paint him as like a technical kind of underground lyrical rapper. You can paint him as a comedic rapper. You can paint him as a nerd rapper. You know, he has a whole album about anime and how he relates like watching JoJo to his divorce and Evangelion and shit. And you know, and he's funny and he's also like got a bit of the sort of sad clown dark comedy thing going on. You know, all of those complexities and nuances come through very, very well. And I feel like Open Mike Eagle, you know, is very successful as a character in that respect. He is, you know, he's a character actor. He's the type of actor who shows up in the film and you're like, hey, it's Open Mike Eagle. And yeah, I don't know if you the only thing I would say in terms of postmodernism is that saxophonist Matana Roberts, who collaborated with Gang, King Vision and Ultra on that album, they posted this meme and they said they weren't like promoting or discouraging this meme about good art versus bad art. And I feel like this might be like fascist agitprop, like low key. There's a lot of like good art wishes to be canonic, bad art wises to destroy. I meant to say wishes to destroy the canon. Hints at forgotten values is good. Mocks the concept of values. Like low key, I think this might be some kind of weird like 4chan fascist thing.
So they're not in support of this. They're just saying this is fucking
this is like
terrible.
It was just like disgusting because, you know, sometimes like good art improves mood, bad art makes you feel bad. And you know what? If we're living in this world where these are the metrics of good and bad art, Open Mike Eagle makes bad art, and I'm very grateful for it. I'd rather consume bad art most of the time.
Yeah, I just feel that there's something that, and perhaps it's just looking back at his career and some of the philosophical through lines that I think comes through in his music, his usage of calling songs laments for people like Method Man or Alfred Korzybski, and taking those themes and really driving home something else and personal about himself. Like the song Animal off of Animal, his album Animal, several years back, I can't remember, but it's called Korzybski's Lament. And Alfred Korzybski was a linguist, philosopher who created or at least developed the theory or linguistic school of E prime and general semantics, which was basically saying how language binds us in time, and it's a time binding thing. And so there's like the isness, is of identity, and how the usage of the term is creates a false kind of projection of the thought that you really want to share. And Mike is right there, like, you know, when you are alone, you are an animal. The words I'm saying to you now mean nothing more than meow to an animal. You know, the thought is a mountain, the word is a molehill. And he has these things where I just feel like his music really circumvents a lot of the typical tropes that you expect from rappers, and he does it in a very idiosyncratic way. There's not really another MC that I feel like meets. He's like a one of one artist. Like, for all the similarities that you can draw to other artists, Open Mike Eagle is very much doing Open Mike Eagle.
Yes.
Like there's no like he's developed his own style, his own approach, his rhyme scheme is different, his timing is different, his production choices. He's just a very incredible artist that I'm glad to see gets a lot of his respect. I feel like we've been talking about Open Mike Eagle and not so much the album. Let's get into the album. Then my bad, guys. Like I really I don't think that we got much into Open Mike on the last one.
I mean, I also don't know if you can talk about this album devoid of the context of Open Mike Eagle and his kind of surrounding context. I mean, this album is very autobiographical. Basically, every song title has some kind of relation to his personal life, which is something that he has been doing for a long time. Open Mike Eagle is absolutely the kind of person who is like slightly overshares, but also kind of obfuscates something from you at the same time. And in that respect, I do feel like we are talking about this album by talking about him.
Sure. What do you think about? Sorry, go ahead. I'll be talking my ass off. I gotta let people talk.
Well, no, in terms of the individual tracks, I mean, I really dig basically every song on here, except for maybe Dave said these are the liner notes, which isn't really a track so much as
the liner
just
notes. Yeah,
the liner notes are saluting a bunch of people, repeating the other ground beat, which is a beat I like, but I didn't need another 4 minutes of it.
I feel really good about it. I think he even like
validation or vindication.
I felt happy about it. I was hearing names on there that I hadn't heard for a long time. People that I haven't thought about for a while. Like, I think he mentions. I'm not sure if he does, but I think he says Nabahi, and Nabahi's like a cat out of Hawaii. I actually went to high school with him. I was in high school with him for like 2 years, and this is like 99, 2000 type of shit. But yeah, it's just good to hear cats, on the record. And I
almost expected them to say your name,
yeah,
especially when he shouted out Megaran. I was like, wait a second, and then I was like, oh, Megaran, okay.
Shout out to Megaran.
Shouts out to Megaran.
Yeah, he's here.
That's also a pull.
He's got this is him right here. That's his signature right there, I think. But anyways, man, the first track, I Bled on Stage at First Ave, produced by Quelle Chris. I feel like Quelle Chris does not get the flowers he deserves when it comes to his production prowess. He's really, really dope. And this beat is phenomenal. It builds up in a really interesting and phenomenal way. That guitar is fucking epic. And it feels like Open Mike Eagle is like stepping into like an open world game trailer to me. It kind of reminds me of like the cover of Mr. Lift Enters the Colossus, or like the end of The One with Jet Li, where he's like fighting on top of the mountain as the camera pans out and shit. It just sounds really dope. And Open Mike just says dope shit all over it, like The Wrong Way for the Feng Shui. On most days it's Wu-Tang, some days it's OJ the Juice Man. I was 2 chains with a third chain. I flew south like a bird brain, was tight-lipped but I've heard things. He's dope, man. I love that song. I think that beat is incredible. I think that beat is so dope and incredible. And speaking of the production on this, there's quite a few producers on this. Most primarily, I would say it's like Child Actor. He has like he's got like maybe 3 or 4 tracks, right? But on BET's Rap City, he features the great, the incredible Young Z, and that's over an Illingsworth beat. I didn't have that on like my bingo card of things or like my like
expect it to happen
subconscious
in 2023?
wish list. No, Young Z had an open off top premium freestyle maybe last year or whatever, and I was just so happy to hear Young Z because he is one of the cats that like shout out to the Outsiders. Before I got in like and really gave Eminem a listen, like I heard him on the Outsiders and I heard him on like the Wake Up Show and I heard him on tapes with doing the freestyle before I gave, Slim Shady a listen and shit, because I thought it was pretty gimmicky. But Young Z, Pace One, all those cats were so dope. Raw Digga, and Young Z's comedic timing as an MC is like the fucking bar. I think he showed up at that off-top premium freestyle and was like, I just wrote this right now. And he was just reading off the paper. But the way he'll like say something and then laugh, he's incredible. And he's also just like fucking funny. He says, my knife sharp as the claw on an eagle's feet. I had guns to sweep the street before Keef was chief.
Yeah.
yo, they're called talons, but he's just like sharp as the claw on an eagle's feet. Like the way he says some shit, it's just like, bro, that's wrong, but the most dope shit I've ever heard. He says, please don't try me, please. 2 pleases. And then he says, or get shot with IEDs. And I'm just like, bro,
that's not what an IED does, yeah.
Bro, but I was like, yo, that's so ill. And I was laughing so hard when I heard it because, you know, for the listeners, my daughter is a B girl. And I was asking her, like, what's your B girl name going to be? What are you going to call yourself? And I was like, you should just use your real name.
I was going to say, a real name is like so fucking suitable.
You know, my wife would not let me call her Bazooka. So her name is Cannon, right? And I was like, you going to use your real name? I was like, do you know what it means? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, what is it? She's like, a bomb gun. And I was like, that's your B girl name? She's like, yeah, bomb gun. I was like, fuck yeah, get shot with IEDs.
It's hard.
Yeah, and it's a song about like BET's Rap City. The production is so ill. Illingsworth is so dope, and it's like a summery jam vibe to me. Open Mike Eagle's verse on that. He's also one of those MCs that kind of like creative writing MC, where it's like, here's the lesson here. Like for this class, I want you to write about your childhood. And the way he kind of adds these like little kid kind of wide world, like big eyes to it. He says, little eagle in the big city. I made it count like this many. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's like, in a fountain trying to pinch pennies. We had a run. It was unfriendly. Stuck her tongue out like, come get me. Summer sun, she was mad pretty. And of course, like I say, I don't ever do justice to the bars, but Open Mike Eagle on that beat with those rhymes, it's fucking great. Just like my song of the summer, maybe last year, was fucking I'll Fight You.
I'll Fight You is...
This is another one where I'm just like, yo, this is
year.
unstoppable glow for me. I really fucking like that. And shout out to fucking Young Z. More respect for the man, please. Yeah. Can I just go?
Yeah, just reel them off.
I feel like I've been doing
We've been
that
at this
a lot
for like
lately.
20 minutes. Like, I don't know, we're chilling.
Well, I don't want to
feel like
talk
our
about
listeners-
Mike Eagle more than I talk about the songs and albums. You know what I mean?
Sure. But like, and you know, comment section, like, feel free to tell me I'm wrong because I don't really contribute much like that. But like, I've always felt like Secret House is just a show where you come to like hang out with Jet and Mega while we talk about the raps. You know,
That's exactly
That's what people
it
are
is.
here to do.
That's why we don't rank albums.
don't
I'm
give
trying to
them
tell y'all
fucking
why
number
Open Mike
ratings and
Eagle's
shit.
dope and maybe connected to some real ill shit like
Bring back
Korzybski.
DJ L Spade.
Word. A new rap festival called Falling Loud. Shout out to that. Produced by a child actor. Some of these child actor beats, did child actor produce Ajay too? Serengeti shit?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense because some of these got like a little bit of that like vibe for me.
Yes.
That kind of
absolutely.
vibe.
Now, that's a really good pull actually.
And you know, I love child actor. Child actor's so ill, and these beats are so great. Open Mike Eagle's just really dope on this song. When I die, mix up my ashes into some coffee grounds, and
Gross.
hey, you know, like
You've probably
Yeah.
eaten somebody's ashes
Right,
before,
yeah.
right? What's the bar on there? They're like, you've probably drunk somebody's
Yeah.
ashes before. Just do it on purpose.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Yeah.
yo, like how would you?
My last relationship ended because of coffee grounds. I don't fuck with
yeah?
coffee grounds. Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I buy the cans out here. We don't got no space on the counter. These small Tokyo things. I ain't got no space on the counter for a coffee maker. But you know, I take a sip. I think I really like it. I take a sip and maybe really hate it. We are the triumph of the humiliated. He says, I never felt like I was out of options. My cargo pants have 1,000 pockets. Fucking hard. It's great. The grand prize game on the Bozo Show.
That's such a that's the type of insult you wish you came up with as you're like going up the stairs to your apartment on the way home.
Word. Is this a gift or a weapon? Child actor kills it again, but if you guys have seen our show, if there's ever been an album that has Riff Napalm on it, Mega is going to have to tell you how much of a fan he is of fucking Riff Napalm. And Riff Napalm is fucking incredible on everything he touches. And shout out, it's also got Dave, Video Dave, who we love. Please check out our review of his album. But fucking Riff, since I first heard him, has one of the dopest voices. But the way he just puts some shit together is just always amazing to me. what does he say on this shit? And he used the refrain like 3 times in one verse. The song doesn't have a chorus, so he uses the hard head knuckle sandwich, and he says that like 3 different times, right? But he says the hard-headed knuckle-hand sandwich gave the cannibal the sustenance to subsequently seek a distant daydream from the nothingness. Bro, he's fucking crazy. He's crazy.
We need an album.
Gave the cannibal the sustenance to subsequently seek a distant daydream from the nothingness. And it's not just that. It's the whole verse. The whole verse is crazy. The whole verse is wild. I need an album. I want albums from fucking Cavalier, Denmark Vesey, and fucking Riff Napalm. I've given up on a Despot album, but please, please, fucking Riff.
He shows us a lot of love on the gram.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
He follows us?
Still Rift. Yeah.
That's fucking
every story, every post leaves a like. Like he's left a couple comments here and there. Yeah, Rift Napalm. I don't know if you're watching the show, Mr. Rift, but Mr. Napalm rather, but right. Mr. Still. But yeah, no, Still Rift been holding it down for us.
He is one of my dark horse champions. Like. You know, I've got a short list of artists that a lot of people don't know about, but I fucking have loved my entire hip hop human life and shit. So like 30 years, you know, I'm 40 now. I've been loving like Breeze Brewing. I've been loving fucking Staple Mouth. Shout out to Staple Mouth and fucking Rift. Rift is one of them. I mean, I've got a few more, but those 3 are always fucking, yeah, I'll take a feature any day from those cats. They're all incredible. And not to say that Mike doesn't get off or fucking Dave doesn't get off. Like it's all dope, but you know, I'm such a mark for Still Riff that I got to fucking wild out a little bit. We already spoke about we should have made Other Ground a thing. Another child actor beat. I love that, man. 97% of the people he mentions, you know, are people that I love, that many of which I've seen live multiple times, smoked joints with and kicked it and know each other on a first name basis sometimes. But he's basically just shouting out all of his experiences and with his indie rap homies, peers, and OGs. And it's a really kind of fun, insightful look into the career trajectory that he has and all of the relationships that he's had with these people. And I always say that like independent underground or other ground hip hop is like we closer together than fucking Kevin Bacon. You know, that 6 Degrees Kevin Bacon shit. Like, pretty much everybody was like, yeah, I know him. He fucking did the album art for Micah Nine's album. It was like one step away from direct, you know, and Mike and what he's done, Open Mike Eagle, what he's done for independent hip hop over the last few years, especially with what had happened, was like that type of just deep dive into some of these cultural giants who don't really get their notice on your, you know, name a big publication or anything that is the big voice of hip hop these days, or even Hip Hop DX or whatever. Like Open Mike Eagle's interview show, bro, like he's really just amazing, and I really appreciate him so much. WFLD 32.
Got a Hannibal Buress guest verse.
Kenny Siegel beat. You know, I was listening to that shit and I was like, this motherfucker sound like Hannibal Buress. And I was like, who is this? And then I looked it up. I was like, oh, that's fucking Hannibal. Shout out to fucking Hannibal, a real conspiracy theorist. He was. I seen him. I was watching the Spider-Man movie with my daughter, and he's like fucking like the PE teacher or some shit. He's telling Peter Parker to his face, "You're a killer." It's like, yeah, word. But man, he's dope. I was just like, you know, we heard him rap before a couple times. He raps on the show, you know, and jokes around with it sometimes. But he also be getting off. Like on Dark Comedy is the first time that I heard him like really rapping, and I can't remember if I was a fan of his comedy or if I found out about him through, I think I knew his comedy before, right, but I don't know. But he's dope. Like fucking Hannibal Buress is really dope on that. And that's a handsome rambler himself. Video Dave hit me with a couple things that I had to ponder on for several hours and think about researching. He said a line about Tupac and Juice had 2 guns and how the continuity kind of messes them up and shit, like the continuity errors. And I was like, what? When did he have the 2 guns? I was like, I have to watch Bishop again. And then also the line about is it like a real thing for therapists to say that there was a breakthrough, or is that like a television thing?
The TV thing.
Yeah, man. Like a while back, I tried to go to AA for just wilding out, drinking too much, and I was like, I seen AA on fucking television. Let me go see how this shit is.
My name is Mega, and I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah, it wasn't like that. When I got in there, I tried to floss like that. I was like, I know what I'm doing. It's like, yeah, my name is Mega Alcoholic, and everybody was just like, okay, word, man. Like, what's going on with you? It was mad regular, but yeah, man, that's a great track. Video Dave is incredible on that. Yeah, Kenny fucking Siegel. Like, just
plenty of flowers for Kenny Siegel on our collaboration with the Sonic Cloth podcast coming soon.
Oh yeah, we've got
plenty
that
of flowers coming.
Yeah, that's like a 3-hour conversation dropping.
The Wire. You get to maps.
The Wire.
Season 3, episode 1. Haven't
with
seen
Blue.
It.
Shout out to Blue.
Shouts out to Blue, yeah. I hadn't heard anything from Blue in a while. I was worried about Blue because, like...
He dropped an album like 2 or 3 years ago that was super hard. It was long as fuck, but super hard.
Like, you know, I remember being really into Below the Heavens and shit when that came out. Her Favorite Color. You know, Amnesia is one of my favorite rap songs ever.
Undeniable classic.
But, like... You know, like last time I saw him, he was having like a breakdown on Twitter, and it seemed rough for him, and I didn't know what he was going through. So
I don't want to like.
No, I don't want to pry on his personal life or nothing.
But I just don't want to hear my heroes and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it's just like, oh man, I hope he's good. He sounds real good on here.
Yeah, he dropped some shit with like Fat Lip earlier, like last year too. That was really dope. His music's been coming out. He had a real dope EP with like Fat Jack, with a bunch of beats and a bunch of like Champion and Micah 9 and Battle and AC and like all the West Coast, the Bloodians. Shout out. Yeah. That's where I'll be. I fucking love those guys. But Dave said these are the liner notes. The same beat as the other ground, the child actor beat. And again, it's just, shout out to John Robinson, Dose One, Bluebird, shout out to Bluebird, Florida, Nabahi, Pigeon John, Latyrix, shout out to Quasar. Quasar is a friend of the show. We've seen him in the comments before. Shout out to Lord Quasar, man.
Quasar.
Walk through walls, go figure it out, man. Bat saw shit, like, yeah, he's incredible. Cholo on Cinco, R.I.P. Ganja K. We got people, though. It's great. And the last track of the album is called Mad Enough to Aim a Pyramid at You.
Such a funny title.
Like, I'm not exactly sure what's going on.
I know what it means, but yeah, for sure. Imagine being that mad that you, like, aim a pyramid at somebody.
Yeah, and on this song, and this is produced by Awkward, on this track, he's basically disowning everything, kind of like a release of sorts, perhaps, like, to free yourself from the frenetic grasping of passing objects type of shit. I felt better than this. Disown everything. Yeah. Hand on the wall to push against any dumb physical law. I'm hot because I just want a bit more day. Just a little bit. It's getting dark too soon. I'm fucking sick of it. I'm in a mood. Oh, I'm in a fucked up mood and I don't know what to do or who to blame. And the homie said, dang, what you gonna do? I'll make a pyramid and aim it at you know who. Yeah. I'm not sure what's going on, but I do think it kind of adds to. He also says, throw a little bit in the safe and get away from it. Made a pyramid with my hands and light came from it. Yeah, grew a big ass fist. He's hard, man. I don't do justice to it, but yeah, man, it's really great. I really enjoy this album. Open Mike Eagle. Like I said on the last review, I wasn't such a big fan of Anime, Trauma, and Divorce. That's not speaking to any of the quality of it whatsoever. Just my own personal kind of enjoyment of the project. But last year's Component System made your top 10.
It did.
Made your top 10 albums of the year?
Anime might have also made my top. I mean, like, Death Parade off that record is still a song I, like, go back to very, very often because I'm depressed. But, yeah.
I think that's maybe why I didn't want to listen to it.
For real. Shouts out Open Mike Eagle. I don't know if this album has gelled for me yet, honestly. I don't know if it's quite stuck. Maybe by the end of the year, we'll be like, yeah, this is one of my albums of the year. I kind of felt the same way about Death Fame.
Oh, okay.
Where I remember listening to it and thinking, oh, this is really, really good. But, like, I need a few more listens, I think, to, like, I need my moment. I need to be, like, sat on a hill in Kanagawa while the sun is going down listening to this record and having, like, a revelation of sorts. But I'm sure some of our listeners with, like, a better ear than me are going to immediately hone in on this as one of the best albums of the year.
My favorite tracks on this album are BET's Rap City. I bled on stage at first, and I think that the other songs are really good, but there's just something that really works out for me on the grand prize game on the Bozo show.
Yeah, I was also gonna pick grand prize. Mad enough to aim a pyramid at you, and either of the first two tracks, maybe both of the first two tracks.
Word.
I mean, the whole album is good. I like the whole thing, so I would recommend this album to sad people.
Yeah, word. I recommend. I would recommend every single artist that's mentioned on this album to people. Like, go and listen to all of the names that you heard. Bluebird, all of the names you heard. Just go try to Google and find their artwork. I recommend this to people who are fans of Video Dave's project with Controller 7, Articulated Textiles. I would also recommend this album to people who are fans of They Might Be Giants, which I know is one of
that's a decent pull. Yeah, I see that. Yeah,
he's even that line, "When you are alone, you are a cat." That's a line from They Might Be Giants, right?
There you go.
But I would recommend that. If you're a fan of them, definitely check out Open Mike Eagle. And if you're not a fan of them, go check them out. Check out Lincoln. Check out Flood. They've got too many solid albums. They Might Be Giants.
Mad enough to aim a pyramid at you. They have a fight. Triangle wins. Word. Triangle man.
Yeah. I'm going to go watch the new Negroes. I promise.
I'm going to go listen to Amnesia by Blue.
Okay, bet. Shoot, Secret House. Check out our guys at Caltrops Press. Also Noname Book Club.
Patreon, like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal at this point. Yeah. Like, you've watched a YouTube video before. If you haven't, welcome to YouTube. There's so many videos here. My algorithm thinks I'm an incel. It's really, really frustrating.
I've been getting those just pearly things.
Yeah, I get that shit. Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate been in jail. Yeah. That man has been in jail for a hot minute, and I keep getting, what color is your Bugatti? I need it to stop. YouTube, please. Yeah. I don't run. Mega runs the Secret House account. Why don't you recommend Secret House to me?
Word.
I am 1/3 of Secret House. Like, come on, Caltrops Press, Noname Book Club, friends of the show. You know how it is.
Yeah, read some fucking Alfred Korzybski.
Yeah. Listen to the King Vision Ultra album, or don't. I'm not your dad.